We have gone past 10, so thanks to those that have joined. As mentioned earlier, everyone's on mute. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Bill, could you maybe start presenting in the screen?
Yeah, hold on a moment. I just got to get back to here. So we were going to have Kane join us from Data. He's a Microsoft security expert. Was talking to him on Friday about this, so we definitely had everything lined up. He hasn't arrived and we haven't heard from him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change over and start to take you through Secure Score myself, and then hopefully Kane will join us. If not, I've used Secure Score enough. He just brings a different insight into it. Why are we doing Secure Score? We have done it in the past, but we continue to get asked about it, and it can be a little bit confusing. And the questions that we've been asked has helped clarify perhaps a better way for us to explain it and step through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the presentation, and I will move over to my screen if you just give me a moment.
So yeah, for those of you who haven't met Bill before, Bill is the Kinetics Group Chief Technology Officer. I know there's quite a few people on the webinar who have had a long history with Kinetics or have met Bill. So for those that haven't, Bill has been in the industry for many years and has a really deep knowledge of Microsoft environments and, of course, Microsoft Secure Score. So
incredibly,
Bill has had to answer many questions about the Secure Score and Microsoft security. So we're in competent hands.
I probably have more questions than I have answers myself. It's for an ever-changing topic. So what you should hopefully be able to see on your screen is the Microsoft 365 admin portal. I have already changed mine so that you can see all the admin centers down here. Out of the box, most of the people on, actually, I would hope everyone on this call, actually, I'll change that. No one on this call should have the rights to see this. In fact, I don't. I've had to log in with my admin account to see this. However, when we get into Secure Score, you think, well, that's really useful. I would like to have access to this. You can be given a role called Security Reader, and it will allow you to go in and view the security score and read it along with other security settings. It specifically doesn't allow you to change anything. Security can be complex. We have had on more than one occasion people who have gone in to make a change to a security setting and have locked out everyone, all admins, everyone in their company. Now, when you do that, a case has to be open with Microsoft and they need to reset it. And Microsoft don't jump in and just do it. There's a whole series of steps that we have to go through to prove that actually this isn't some sort of hack. And then Microsoft, don't ask me why, they make one change at a time. So they will go in and they'll go, we untick this, and now we will wait 8 hours to make sure that is replicated. Now we will go and tick this other box and we will wait 8 hours. So it's not unusual when this happens that you will find that nobody can get into, and here's Kane has joined us. Yet that nobody in the two examples I'm thinking of can get into email, can get into SharePoint, could get into Teams. Literally everyone, all admin accounts included, locked out for about 3 days. Okay. Welcome, Kane.
I'm terribly sorry for being late. I'm back-to-back meetings all day today. I suspect this will not be my only late meeting.
I'm not going to make any facetious comments. But I just started to share. If you want to go into your demo environment, which perhaps is a little bit more
versatile. Absolutely.
I will stop sharing and you can share your screen. Oh, so everyone, so this is the mysterious Kane. He is actually a real person. He's not AI generated.
Wow.
AI would have been on time.
That's true. That's how you know I'm real.
Actually, I was just talking to somebody before. One of the things I've learned about AI is not to ask a question such as, can you give me all the changes that have taken place in this thing in the past year? It never seems to quite understand what today is. So I find I have to actually go in 2025 and 2026. Otherwise, I get all these changes from a decade ago. Maybe it just looks at me and thinks, this man lives in the past. I don't know. Okay.
All
And I'm
right.
going to move this over so I can see myself.
So for many clients, they'll be seeing their Microsoft Secure Score in reports that they get from their provider. So Kinetics provides that to our clients monthly. Some people may get that irregularly, or they may only find about their secure score if they've been involved in a cyber event. So we're sort of diving straight into the assumption that everyone knows what a secure score is. So are you starting at that level, Kane?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, what I'm going to do is just drop the URL to get to your security environment. Now, not every user in an environment will have access to this, so you may need to talk to whoever is an administrator in order to get here. But if you do know who your administrator is, you can ask them to take you to this URL, security.microsoft.com, and that's going to take you to this page here. And then pretty early on in the piece, you should see your secure score as one of the tiles here. Now, you can move these around, so if it is not in the exact spot, don't panic. Your experience will vary. However, your secure score is you get a number of points here. So we can see this environment here, our Dicadata demo environment, has 408 out of 567 points achieved. Now, both of those numbers are going to change pretty regularly depending on your environment. So there's no hard and fast like, oh, I want 300 points or I want 500 points. It's very much a percentage target. Generally speaking, you're going to be wanting to hit somewhere in the 80 to 90% range is normally where I say, hey, you're doing a pretty good job if you're up in that sort of region. It is just an indicator though. So, I'll talk through some of the details around what that means, but it's just a high level look at the configuration in your Microsoft 365 environment. It has a bunch of automated tests in there. We'll click through a couple of them in a moment just to sort of get a flavor for what those tests look like. It's very much there just to give you a guide as to how secure is your environment compared to the baseline Microsoft recommendations.
That would normally also, there's normally 4 measures, isn't there? So
Correct.
identity, data, apps, and devices.
Correct, yeah. And so that's the categories that you have here are going to be different depending on, again, what's in your environment. And so this is our demo environment. We don't have any devices in this environment. We have no physical devices at all. And therefore, the security of the non-existent physical devices is not assessed. And so that category is hidden from us because it's not relevant to us.
If I'm looking at this myself and I go, well, hang on, how come, because you've got here, 400 out of 560 roughly points. But when I look at some of them, I see, they can only score out of 300 points. Or in our case, I think, looking at mine, it's currently out of 1,400 possible points. Why does that change?
Yeah, so that changes based on what licenses you have available, how complex your environment is. Not having devices here is going to drop the potential points that you need quite significantly. I know that the licenses that Kinetics will be running are quite advanced, and you have a very complex environment. Therefore, there's going to be a lot of things being assessed across, your cloud environment, as well as the Azure environment, your cloud infrastructure, all of the different enterprise apps that are existing. All of those things are going to be assessed and scored individually.
So therefore I could be sitting on 70 points or 70%, and I go, I'm happy, and go away, and I come back and I've dropped down to 40, and it might be that there are now more measures available, more points.
Correct.
The pool's got bigger, therefore, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And if that's something that happens to you, you say, hey, what's happened to my score? Why has it suddenly dropped quite significantly? And am I less secure than I was? Is that what this is telling me? There is a history here, so we can click into the View History section, and this will take us to the Secure Score dedicated area of the platform. We can see here, it's a demo environment, there's not a lot of change, but there is some change here, right? So you can see over time what's going on, and you can also see why those points are changing. So we can see 3 points here have regressed for ensure users installing Outlook add-ins is not allowed. So someone turned that setting off potentially, or maybe that's a new setting, or it's something that new that Microsoft has added to the baseline recommendations. So there's a couple of different ways that this might go down.
I have heard that as well, that the number of points available can change because new features have become available in the product, or Microsoft previously weren't scoring against a feature, perhaps.
That's right.
And then they bring it in. Why would, so the one below that you've got, I've seen this before, so you're hiding the next one down. So obviously I can get 7 points. Why might I only have 0.2 out of 7?
Yeah, so some policies apply to only a smaller subset of users, but the Secure Score baseline wants it to apply to all users. So in that situation, you may not get the full points. It may be that we only get part points for part configuration. So
it could be
probably click into it.
Yeah, so could that be, for example, because I've got 20 users and 15 of them are my Microsoft 365 Business Premium licenses, but 5 of them are just Exchange email only accounts, and therefore don't get all the other security. So it would say, because this is enabled for the Business Premium, but it's not for these, so you can't get the full points.
That's right. Yeah, you would miss out on quite a few categories in that situation, and so you would be seeing part points all over the place. Yep.
Right. Okay. So I guess what we're saying therefore is sometimes when people are making a business decision, wow, this person only uses a mobile, I'm not going to buy this full product for them, that therefore you're never going to be able to score 100 points for that, because it's just going to say you haven't applied this security to these people.
Correct. Yeah, and Microsoft do have other so the Business Premium package is kind of our baseline recommendation for most businesses. There are situations obviously where you wouldn't want to give the full package to a user, and so there are other license packages that we would recommend in that instance, so that you would still be covered. Yeah.
All right. Because people on this call are all going to go, how do I get 100%? And so it could be, therefore it can be a little bit difficult to do that.
Yeah, 100% is an interesting question, right? Because I hear that a lot, is we want to be 100% secure, but I think anyone that's worked in a sort of risk-based decision-making position understands that 100% in any risk environment is kind of impossible to achieve, right? And that last sort of 5 to 10%, very often it takes a lot of effort. It doesn't necessarily give you the return that you would want. And there's other areas that we could deliver that effort to. So it's important to remember that your Microsoft 365 environment is one part of your cybersecurity infrastructure, and if you are hitting 100% on there, there may be other areas that are falling behind. Maybe your on-premise firewalls could have used a little bit more sort of love and support.
Okay. So just whilst on that, but of course 365 environment being secure is incredibly important because it doesn't sleep. You don't turn it off when you go home at night. You don't turn it off on public holidays. For those people on this call that are on our foundation programs, you will be aware that we have recently added a full-time SOC service. So there's now to your 365. So that is a product that we did webinar on, I think a month ago or 2 months ago. And these people are looking for signs of breach and activity on your 365 24/7. If something untoward happens, they will step in, isolate, protect that account or stop that progressing, and then wake us up to come to the rescue. So Kane, because we have started a little bit late, so I'm going to jump us forward a little bit and say, so if I'm looking at this, how can I score? I'll say, well, okay, that's because there seems to be a lot of points and a lot of measures there. How can I figure out perhaps what I should be focusing on?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this recommended actions tab here, so you can get to that from a few different places, but we want to get to this recommended actions. We can find the secure score here as well from the drop down on the left. That'll take us to this area. What we've got here is a very, very, very long list of potential actions that you can take, right?
You can see there's an export button. I can throw this into a CSV and
you can absolutely export this and throw it into a CSV if you would prefer to run your Excel filters and things like that. And
my Copilot.
Yep, potentially even a Copilot and have a look at that. But Microsoft do weight the scores based on how there's kind of two factors that go into it, right? Is how easy is this to actually implement, and how much added security will this provide us? And so generally speaking, working off of what is the highest scoring action is going to be the best sort of way that you can identify what you should put your effort into. Unsurprisingly, unsurprisingly at the top here, ensure multi-factor authentication is enabled for all users in administrative roles. By far, this is the most important thing you can do to secure an environment, and unsurprisingly, it's sitting at the top here.
Yeah. And I would, hope that it's just, well, hope and say we have a lot of different measures. I'm confident it is enabled on all our clients that have foundation. But then having said that, I'm also aware these are dynamic environments and everything can be okay today and then somebody creates an account tomorrow and everything can shift.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things of managing an environment is that what we call configuration drift, where things are secure 6 months ago, but either features have changed or people have done things without realizing that there's some sort of consequence to that, and therefore we need to keep checking this on a regular basis. Again, I know Kinetics do a really good job with their quarterly reviews with their customers to manage these sorts of things. So
new tools all the time to help us track them, and it tells me, so obviously I'm looking, if I'm going through this, I want to know I need a license for it, so I see there's a license column. If I've got the license, then I'm just look at my highest score and basically just start working my way down.
Absolutely.
A few changes at a time. Some of these a number of these are relatively once you get past the MFA, relatively low in disruption.
Yes.
With these higher ones.
Let me just apply a to address one so we can focus on the things that need to be done. So something like enabling impersonated domain protection, that would be pretty low risk, pretty easy to enable, I would suggest. What this is talking about is, if someone's trying to impersonate a domain by being close to the domain, or there's a few different ways that you can try and impersonate someone's domain, but we want to make sure we're protected from that. It's really only ever going to be done maliciously, so turning this type of protection on is not really going to impact any day-to-day business operations, and so that's something you can proceed with relative confidence. On the flip side, sometimes enabling multi-factor authentication can be quite challenging and can be quite disruptive. It can be a multi-month process to get through that. If there's services and critical business processes that rely on automation that can't be MFA'd, for example, working around that from a technical perspective can be kind of challenging. So, you want to work with someone that knows your environment before you proceed with that sort of.
And people might be wondering, I'm starting to get asked this question, how come that's not turned on? And there's because 365 has changed over time. I remember this, the basis of this is now, when did BPOS come out? A decade ago. And there's almost no security settings. And hacking of these environments wasn't really something that was taking place that much back then. So all these have come on, and Microsoft can't just go, hey, there's a new setting and I've enforced it, because it will have an impact on existing businesses. So for current tenancies, a new feature can come out, and it will often be in an off status and has to be managed and enabled, whereas you can actually start a new tenancy and get a different set of features because it's a blank canvas.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it also depends on the business itself as well, right? Something like setting action to take on high confidence spam detection, that sounds really obvious for most businesses. But if you're a business that works with international vendors or international customers, sometimes some regions of the planet, generally speaking, have much lower spam scores or safety scores on their email communications. And if
importing a lot from Indonesia, for example, you might find you get a lot more emails from your business contacts being blocked.
Yeah. And so if you were to just sort of turn this on without communicating to some of those other business partners first, and trying to help coach them through how to improve their email servers sort of spam scoring, you might end up not being able to communicate with your customers or with your vendors in that situation. And that would obviously be quite a significant problem. And so, there's not every business is the same, and unfortunately Microsoft has to cater to kind of the lowest denominator in all of those situations. And so if a setting is potentially disruptive to a business in any way, generally speaking, it will not be turned on by default. That relies on the business and their business's IT partners to understand what is low enough impact to actually go ahead and turn that on. Yeah.
So before you joined us, I was saying that clients can reach out to us, and we give them the security reader role so they can go in and find this.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps if we could just go back to the start and go,
absolutely.
You've got the URL, here's where you're clicking on, here's how you get that overview. So it's right there on home, and the pods do appear in different places if nobody's moved them around.
Yeah, and you will get different pods based on what licensing you have. So in our demo environment, we have quite a lot in here, and so you probably won't get as many, particularly if you just have a business premium license. So it should be a lot easier to find these.
Head for the secure score one. Yep.
If that is not there for any reason, and it might not be, because you can remove these, you can find it over here. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Microsoft do move things around in these admin portals a lot. At the moment, it is under Exposure Management Secure Score. So these headings here, you can click down through here, and you're looking for Secure Score.
And then, and then from there, if we're saying view your secure score.
Yeah.
Take us to the full list.
Yeah. So in this environment, we have a a cloud environment as well, so that's assessed separately under the Secure Cloud Initiative. So we just want to look at Microsoft Secure Score here, and that's going to take us to that window that we were looking at earlier.
Okay, and from there you can go your history. I've gone back, what changed by looking at my history.
Yep.
Right, or go to the recommended actions.
Yep.
And either I can filter it there, or people like myself, throw it into a CSV.
Yeah.
Okay.
And importantly here, this other one, metrics and trends, allows you to have a look at it over time, but also compare to organizations that are similar to yours. So you can sort of see how Microsoft compares organizations that have a similar sort of 365 profile to you. What do they kind of look like on average as well? So you can see in our demo environment, we're doing very well, apparently.
Yeah, and I will say that is, I had forgotten about that, and that is always interesting to look at, because we do tend to, certainly when I look at our customer base, we're doing so much better than what they're saying the global average is for people that would look like our customers. So you kind of wonder just how many companies are out there that don't have any security turned on.
We have heard of partners taking over customers that have 0% secure score, which is actually very hard. That means that their IT company or someone has actually gone in and turned off a bunch of security tooling. But yeah, there are some organizations out there that have a good amount of room for improvement, I would suggest.
Do we have any questions? Nothing in the chat.
Thanks, Bill and Kane. No, we don't have any questions at this stage. Something I did want to mention too, we do talk to clients, when I'm talking to clients about Secure Score, they often, and we do start diving into the detail. It does take a little bit of getting used to. If you are not engineering focused, if you're not IT focused, you're going to need to take some guidance from someone who can translate the Microsoft security requirements into something that's plain English, and maybe explain what the repercussions are. Say, turning off some external collaboration, for example, will help your secure score, but then it might change some behaviors inside your business. So some of these things just take a little bit of talking through and a bit of discussion. It might even be a bit of a project. We've had clients who have said, hey, look, I want to reach X on my secure score, and we've gone and worked through the secure score requirements in a deliberate manner with them.
That's a really good point. I think of sharing from SharePoint or collaborating through Teams outside of your organization. When these features first became available, Microsoft was investing very heavily in telling people about them, and here's this wonderful tool. Then, of course, that started getting abused. So now you'll find disabling a lot of these features is part of improving your security score.
Well, it also comes to the fact that if you don't use SharePoint as your primary source of collaboration, you might have another document management solution that's specific to your industry. Enabling, removing the SharePoint collaboration might be a really smart thing to do if you're not using it. So shutting the gate is important, and this is really a measure of all the gates and switches and settings inside your Microsoft environment.
My experience as well is that when you first look at them, sometimes making a change can seem counterintuitive, can seem to be possibly unproductive from a business point of view, or there's issues where there's things that won't run correctly. You can solve all those problems. Right? It's just a matter of identifying them and putting the correct solution in place. So it's not like it's impossible to do. Now I'm conscious of time, and I see the odd person dropping off, possibly because, like Kane, they have other meetings. So I will just move on to our next slide, which is to let you know that next month we're going to focus in on Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So benefits of it that you may not be aware of. Okay, there's been new features added over the last year or so. There's new features coming in the very near future. So we're going to just focus in on that because most of us are using it. What are things it can do for you that you don't know about? And we're not just this, that includes some security, but a lot of productivity information as well. So that will be available same time, same place next month. Okay, so
Very good.
any questions, anyone, before Kane? I know you have to go. I can probably answer any questions.
Particularly I have a couple of minutes, so that's all right.
Damn, because I was just going to say, if Kane goes, I'm happy to answer questions about Kane.
Thank you very much, Bill and Kane, for that. And thank you to those that joined. We will look forward to seeing you at the next webinar as well. And of course, if you have any questions, reach out to someone at Kinetics, and we'll see how we can help. Thanks very much, everyone.
Might have a hand up. Is that?
Yeah, that's Stephen Kennedy. I just have one question in one way. Like with the secure score, it's just more cadence and how often you sort of, you know, we've gone through our company went through a thing. We brought our score up to a reasonable level. We've gone through a whole exercise, and I sort of wonder. It's not. I don't try and do it annually, but it's sort of like, you know, it's not something I want to look at every day. I was just sort of wondering, is there a sort of guideline on a cadence of sort of, you know, is it a quarterly thing, a monthly thing? I mean, it's sort of, because there is quite a lot in it, and some of it's a strategy thing, like you say, you got to coordinate with other partners, business partners or whatever.
It's a really good question, and unfortunately, I don't have a clean answer for you because so much of it depends on the nature of your business. I would suggest to start off with checking it probably once a week, and then, you know, deciding based on, you know, over a couple of months how much drift there is in your organization over, you know, those sort of weekly checks. You certainly don't need to look at it daily, not unless you're in a significant period of change, and then identifying sort of how much did it drift over that period, and therefore, you know, how long am I willing to wait until I then catch any potential changes? So you might be perfectly comfortable with an annual check, and in your organization there might not be enough change, there might not be the staff turnover for that to be strictly speaking a problem, but if you have a very high churn of staff, if you have, you know, a lot of IT projects on the go, then you might want to bring that back to a sort of a monthly check. Yeah,
I'm going to agree with Kane. I'll bring a slightly different lens to it. We all have responsibilities for the company to the company we work for, and we should be reporting into our manager at least monthly what my secure score is. And there are other measures as well. If you're a foundation client, you'll see we have a security posture score, which is another way to look at things. I would be including those, just what the score is every month when I'm reporting in. So there I've got a cadence where I need to check. Now, assuming that it's changed and it's gone down, now I need to do something about it. But quarterly, I would be looking and going, how can I just improve that dial a little bit? Because certainly we know out there in the world, the threats, those people are moving the dial every day, right? So we need, if we're staying still, we're moving backwards. So how can I just every quarter move that dial just a little bit? It doesn't have, you know, it doesn't have to be big projects, just that cadence of always maybe just being a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, but the monthly reporting, I think, is key. And monthly reporting also means that your manager has that opportunity to say, we want to do more. Or, you know, at least they know where you are and you can explain where you are and why you're there. Other ones, because as Kane said before, 365 isn't everything. We've done a couple of webinars recently on SMB 1001, having a framework that looks outside of just 365, of which you're measuring yourself against and moving through, also very helpful. Once again, they don't have to necessarily always be big projects.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Happy to chat offline too, Stephen, if that helps.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you sort of answered my question. I mean, I do report it to the board on a quarterly fashion as such, but sort of answering is I see the trend, then trying to tell them what that actually means, and becomes a bit more complex, But when it stays reasonably static, like people seem to think, oh, that's okay, but it is also just what key things have changed. Just monitoring that as well. The number means something, like 0's no good and 100's not real. That's fine. But yeah, what are the actual things that it still doesn't really tell you what the problems you're facing just by the number as such. It just gives you a sort of feeling of
that history tab is really important when tracking changes, right? Because some of them can be very small. I mean, in our demo environment, you saw that not all of our administrators have MFA on them. It's actually something I'm going to go and look at now. That is actually really important. And so even though it might not move the security score that much in the overall, picture, if you can pick up on that, relatively quickly, then you can come in and close that hole really fast, which is important. And that's the other thing to sort of consider that I didn't really touch on, is like, if one of these settings changes and it is a critical setting, how quickly do you want to pick it up? And so even if like 99 of your checks don't pick up this really critical thing, if it's only 5 minutes of your day once a week or something like that, and it means that you pick up a very critical issue one time out of 100, maybe that's worth it. And so that's kind of the flip side of how regularly you check.
And that's where having a framework may be helpful too, to complement that, where you're getting alerts on changes to your 365 environment. So instead of waiting for the secure score, getting separate alerts to say, hey, this has changed in my 365 environment, or this has changed with my devices. This needs to be managed or acknowledged and closed. So there's a few different ways of handling that too. So
what I found, Stephen, was that export of data from was really useful for me, because one, I could filter it and say, actually, we've done all this work. Now, okay, maybe I'm at 80. What do I need to do to get to 20? Well, suddenly those movements are very small. That last part is really small. So I'm able to quickly graph that and then be able to say, hey, to get there, I no longer have to make 100 changes. I got to make 400 changes. So it allows you to therefore talk about being able to do a smaller cadence on these things. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's we're an engineering company, and so the last 20% is always the near impossible bit. So that's why when we set our target around that 70, 80 secure score, thinking, and we got to the 80 reasonably quickly, and it is refinement at the moment. But there's a few. Yeah, I mean, there's a few things at play, as you all know, and training our users as well is my biggest problem at the moment.
Yeah, that's the SMB helps, SMB 1001, or actually any framework helps with that. And also, and if you've got people asking, it helps as well, I think, just to be able to go in there and look at that comparison and say, hey, we might be at 80, but look, similar companies like this, the worldwide average is 40. So hopefully that means the other people getting all the attention from the hackers, least resistance.
That's right. Yeah. No. Thanks. That's helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, they say you don't have to outrun the bear; you just have to outrun your tramping mate. Okay. All right.
Cool.
Oh, thank you. A few people have hung around. Hopefully that's been interesting, and we will get on with our day. Everybody have a great day, and reach out if you need any help with anything.